almost 1 year that coronavirus attacked the entire world. I am Annisa and Wiranda.
And I'm Jefrianto. We are the MC for today's talk show.
For today's talk show, we will be talking about coronavirus disease. To better understand about this topic, we will be talking to our interviews.
Our first source is from medical personnel. Is it true that these medical personnel are most vulnerable to viruses, not only the COVID-19 virus?
Thank you. I'm Hatika Permata Sari. Of course, because of the medical staff, others must stay away, while medical personnel must approach because they are caring for patients and very close to touching an object that's very contagious and the vulnerability exists. And indeed, we as medical personnel are very at risk.
Thank you for the explanation, Mrs. Hatika. So, even using protective equipment does not guarantee that we will avoid the COVID-19 virus.
Okay, our next interview is Miss Naomi, the one patient who already had experience about having a COVID. Miss Naomi, can you tell us about your experience having a COVID, please?
Thank you for the opportunity given to me. I am Naomi. This time, I will share my experience last year related to COVID. Of course, COVID is not strange to us. Now, we can help but live side by side with this virus. I was exposed to COVID in mid-September 2020. At first, I was indicated by COVID-19 when my office colleagues was positive for COVID-19. So, all employees took a swab to find out whether something was indicated or not. There are some of my colleagues and I tested positive. So, we had to do quarantine to decide the spread of COVID-19. I was grateful at the time. I had no symptoms. So I was allowed to be self-isolated. However, some of my friends who initially had no symptoms, but on the third day after being declared COVID, experience symptoms such as chills, fever, cough, and a runny nose due to the condition of some of them would drop out. Those who were initially isolated at home became isolated at the at least homestead in order to get more serious treatment. Even though I'm a person without symptoms or OTG, I still do isolation with discipline because I don't want people to get it because of me. What I did when I first tested positive, I immediately contact my family, relative, and those I have interacted with recently to make sure they were indicated or not. Praise God, everything is negative. After 2 weeks of isolation accompanied by routine swabs in 3 days, and the results are always negative. So that I can do my normal activities by paying attention to health protocols.
And what do you think about coronavirus disease after you exposed?
Here, I want to remind you that COVID-19 exists and is real. So stop underestimating this virus. Okay, if you have strong immunity, but remember there are people we need to take care of. But your parents and your family, you can just be a carrier of this virus to your family. So I would like to invite all of you not to leave the house if you don't need it, and for those of you who really have to leave the house, to stay safe and healthy, and don't forget the health protocol.
Thank you for your information, Miss Naomi. Next, we'll talking to Miss Delia, the one working in educational staff.
For educational staff, how to apply the post-pandemic learning method to students who have been accustomed to learning online from home for about 9 months, and how to identify the mental health of teachers, students, and parents in distance learning patterns.
I am Delia Wahyuni. 80% of the teachers do not teach e-learning but give assignment through e-learning. And there are things that must be observed. One of which is assisting children in e-learning to return to school. And how to identify the mental health of the teachers, students, and parents. First, we need to pay attention to what our condition is first. And we cannot demand many things for our children while we don't want to listen to their words. And they don't have the capacity to understand our condition like that. And we should not overshoot our children or get angry. This makes children depressed. And we ask parents as our children cheerful about the assignment they have been given by the school.
Thank you, Mrs. Delia. So, during this pandemic, students are required to study independently because teachers cannot teach students directly, and the role of parent is very important in supervising students in learning.
For Army and Police, what are distribution from Army and Police to support prevention COVID-19?
Okay, I am Baby Rizky Putri Uthami Pasaribu. The Army and the Police are asked to support the vaccination, and the Army and the Police are ready to deploy thousands of vaccinators for the Army and the Police to carry out vaccination at the end of February 2021. And the Army is also asked to support the distribution of vaccine throughout Indonesia. The Army was also asked to continue to monitor the implementation of micro-scale PPKM based on the neighborhood and the hamlet, namely starting from implementing disciplinary improvement related to health protocol regulatory issues, supporting the mass vaccination programs that is currently being held, and then in the future there will of course be an increase in the number of vaccine that will be distributed, and of course also help prepare officers or vaccinators in an effort to speed up the vaccination programs national that will be implemented. The PPKM micro programs is of course the Army and the Police, in this case Babin Kantipmas and Babinsa, as the spreadhead of the micro PPKM programs based on the neighborhood or hamlet. It is hoped that they can really work as pioneers in collaboration.
Thank you for your opinion, Miss Baby. So, in summary, to support the prevention of COVID-19, we should do something like this. First, whenever you are outside, please wear mask. 2. Use an hand sanitizer or wash your hand by regular soap and running water. 3. Keep your distance. And whenever you are come back home, please change your clothes and wash them. Let's end our event today. Thank you very much for taking your time to talk with us. Hopefully it can be useful in everyday life. I am Annisa Rianti Wiranda and my colleague Jefrianto. Say goodbye.
And don't miss the next talk show with a more interesting discussion, of course.